Lloyd, we're back, and thanks for joining me to explore the mindset pathway.
Thanks for having me back, Craig.
So, the Entrepreneurial Brain is your framework for democratizing entrepreneurship, and today we're going to focus on the mindset pathway and explore it a bit further.
Previously, we've done a number of videos that explored these dynamics, multifaceted states of the entrepreneurial brain. So we encourage you to go and check out those videos if you want to learn more about that. But today we're going to be focusing on mindset, on the mindset pathway.
Yeah, so let's look at that in a bit more.
So mindset is, it's critical and it's fundamental to our progress. I think in any space that we're in. But our definition here is the clarity of purpose, perspective, frame of reference, and the intentionality of the entrepreneur.
Really about the way you think, and it starts with awareness, as you were saying, Lloyd. So, awareness is an awakening to your exponential possibilities.
Absolutely. I think it's just this increased understanding that we start to develop. It takes a fair amount of work to create this awareness as we start to shift our focus, definitely from a scarcity mindset to an abundance thinking, becoming more creative as opposed to being stuck in a linear thinking type of way. But I think what's really fundamental here is that there's definitely two parts throughout this mindset pathway. There's an internal process and an external process. And self-awareness is really, really important, because without self-awareness, without the insight to ourselves, we're going to constantly run into our own roadblocks.
Yeah, and we can't overemphasize the importance of abundance thinking. The concept of abundance has been around for quite a few years now, but it's really starting to emerge as something that you can leverage and exploit. So be aware of abundance and exploit it as much as you possibly can. And that starts
Absolutely.
with purpose. So, purpose is an understanding, clarifying, and redefining your motivations, really getting to your own intentionality. So
yeah, I think there's reference and talk of MTP. I think throughout most of the videos that we do and that will be done. But really having an MTP helps refine and give you that focus in terms of what is your purpose. And what's really, really important with this is the sense of alignment. Alignment within yourself, firstly, is, am I aligned to my own MTP? My values and so on, do they fit to encourage my motivation and drive? And then alignment within my team, those that I'm working with, those, clients and customers. There has to be alignment with regards to purpose. Otherwise, we're going to be running in circles.
Simon Sinek talks about finding your why, so purpose is very important from your own perspective, from your own internal drive perspective. What is it that you really are passionate about? What can you really be intentional about? What gets you fired up? What is the gift that you can give away that really gives you purpose is absolutely critical. And then, of course,
I think, Craig, sorry, just to, what is absolutely fundamental to finding your why is self-awareness. Yeah. You're not going to be able to answer that question if you don't have that that insight into yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. So these things are interrelated, as we've said before, and they're pretty fluid. But of course, learning and experiential learning, the actions and reflections lead to learning through success and failure. So that requires, again, a different mindset.
For sure. I think previously we've spoken about being bold and radical, Craig, and it's absolutely necessary in this area. Experimenting, testing things out, trialing things out, seeing if it's going to work, with a whole sort of drive to be better, to improve. And I think what's really, something that's critical to keep in mind is this idea that we learn far better from our failures than we do from successes.
Absolutely.
A roadblock that often comes in there is our own egos, whether we're willing to accept failure and learn from it, or if we try to deny it and sort of brush over it. But really, failure is such an incredible tool to use to become better.
And often our egos prevent us from getting into a flow state, because we're we're kind of forcing something that isn't working, you know. So
Mm.
flow state talks to the art of improvement.
Yeah,
Inverted
you know,
commas.
this flow state is really about becoming sort of engrossed in what you're doing. It's about tuning out the noise, becoming hyper focused. Your senses become sort of heightened to what you do in the task at hand, and you're really immersed in the activity. Your actions are very intentional and very focused. I think cutting out the noise helps you to become, operate from a very sort of lean and mean perspective, where you're really just driving through, and quite excited about what you're trying to achieve, but without the noise, without the chaos that interferes in our thinking and doing often.
And as you said, being very, very intentional. And we used the analogy of, when you go through a tunnel, you kind of very focused because, you can only see the light at the end of the tunnel. But the point of the tunnel is to actually get you over the mountain, and so when you emerge from the other side, you need to start looking beyond that, but which leads us into exponentiality. So exponentiality is about disrupting yourself so that you can really grow, not just sort of in small increments, but in 10x kind of increments. And that requires exponential awareness.
Absolutely. And Craig, again, very importantly here is this internal and external awareness or exponential awareness, because we have our own incredible exponential potential. And if we aren't aware of that within ourselves, we're going to be limiting ourselves. And then also that external exponential awareness.
Yeah.
So it's a sort of a two-way process, this.
Yeah, and I mean, the internal awareness reminds me of Socrates' cave, which is similar to the focus in the tunnel. I mean, if you're in the cave and you're only seeing the walls, you're not aware of the possibilities out there. So as you get through the tunnel, sorry to mix the metaphors, but I think it works. You realize that you were able to get over the mountain. You were able to, in Elon Musk's case, reach for Mars, and I think it's important to just mention that there really is a future of possibility to positively exploit abundance. The price performance of technologies and the extent of change that is coming in the next 10 years is massive. And if your mindset is not open to that, and if you're, looking at the linear past and staying on a linear trajectory of what's coming, you're going to miss these exponential possibilities and not have this breakthrough awareness that is there and is possible. So, let's really exploit mindset. Let's apply it to every one of the pathways to grow exponentially, because it affects everything that we do really quite dramatically.
Absolutely. I think you summed that point up quite nicely there, Craig.
Cool. Thanks very much.
Great.
Thanks, Lloyd. Cheers.
Pleasure.